Hey everybody, I'm Jimmy Rance. I had a few people, not a few, maybe two. Two people wrote me an email last night. Two people that I don't know, I don't recall ever seeing you making a comment on my channel. But I thank you for watching last night's video, and I appreciate you writing me and asking me to talk a little bit more about this inner ear problem that I have that's called Meniere's disease. So I want to talk about that a little bit because I had two people ask me about it. They think that maybe they could possibly have it, and they wanted me to talk a little bit more about it, so I thought I would. First, before I get into all of that exciting stuff, I want to say this means nothing to nobody, but Colleen, my dear sweet buddy Colleen, just love Colleen to death as a dear internet friend. She's wonderful. And she has a channel called A Narrated Life Observed. A Narrated Life Observed. Go check out her channel. I think that you would really enjoy her. She shoots straight from the hip. She's a sweet lady. She talks about social anxiety and all kinds of fun things. And you just may find out that you may have some of the same stuff that she has. And she talks about it, just like I'm going to talk about an inner ear disorder that I have, that maybe you have, but you don't know about it. Also, I want to give a shout out to I consider a pretty good buddy, and he has a channel named ShinyKnife. You want to know stuff about knives? Go talk to ShinyKnife. And tell them that, hey, Jimmy Rance sent me over here. I know I'm a small channel, and Colleen and Mr. ShinyKnife, I can't send you a lot of people. You'll be lucky if maybe one person comes over, maybe. But that's all right. I want to talk to you. Look, first of all, if you're not interested in talking about what I'm going to talk about, I understand if you X off. I get it. But for those of you who may be interested, I want to talk to you about something called Meniere's disease that I was diagnosed with quite a while back. I was like 50 years old when I kind of found out that I had this particular disease. And before I had this discovery of what this disease is, this inner ear that I'll talk about in just a minute, they thought I had schizophrenia. For 30 years, I was diagnosed back then. A lot of people, including me, called them like fake quack doctors. They're really not. Just back then, way back then, I was like 20 years old. I mean, we're talking 52 years ago or something like that. I don't know, whatever it was. They didn't have the technology or the know-how to even know about this disease, pretty much called Meniere's disease, this inner ear disease. So they didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. So I guess by the way I explained what was wrong with me, the bottom line is they thought I was nutsy cuckoo. They thought I was some kind of hallucinating fool. And so they gave me a label calling me schizophrenic, which years later we found out that I wasn't schizophrenic. They found out that I had bilateral Meniere's disease. Well, I had, like I said, a couple people wrote me last night saying, Jim, would you talk a little bit more about this ear thing? Because I kind of feel kind of strange too. But I don't know where to go or what to do or to tell me about it. At least tell me something. So that's what I'm going to try to do. First of all, I want to say that if you have Meniere's, I'll explain it a little more, what it kind of is. There's no cure for this disease, okay? Number one, the good thing, it will not kill you. Number two, if you have it, you're just pretty much going to have to learn to live with it. There was a famous, what do you call it, a painter. I don't know if it was Van Gogh or, I don't know, I forgot. Maybe it was Picasso. I don't know, maybe it wasn't Picasso. But there was a famous painter, and he cut his ear off. he cut his ear off. And today, they think the reason that he cut his ear off is because he probably had Meniere's disease. And way back then, was it Van Gogh? I don't know who it was. That's a shame, I should know. Maybe it wasn't Picasso. Well, anyway, because he thought if he could cut his ear off, that would stop his dizziness. That would stop his world from spinning. Because when you have Meniere's disease, what that is, in a way, is like you feel like you're moving when you're not moving. But you are moving. At least you think you are. And I told the little story last night, like the doctor was telling me, imagine that you have this gyro in your head. And for most normal people, this gyro helps you to remain balanced. If you turn your head to the left or to the right or up or down, that little gyro moves with you. It tries to help keep you balanced. But if you're like me, and you turn your head left or right or up or down, or you bend down or whatever, well, your gyro also moves. It's just that whenever you get your head straight and fixed in a fixed position straight, your gyro keeps going. And when that gyro keeps going, you're spinning, you're moving. You feel like you're moving when you're not moving, and it's very scary. And when this happens to you at first, and you don't know what in the world's going on, you talk about panic attack, you literally feel like you're dying, but you're not. You see, what I didn't say last night is I told the story that like I would get so dizzy, so confused, so scared, to be honest with you, because something was going on with me that I couldn't explain, that I've never had before. And I would go to the emergency room, man, I'm dying, doc. You got to help me, man. Something's wrong. And they would do all these tests. They couldn't find nothing wrong. So it appeared to them that maybe I'm a crazy head. This guy's a hypochondriac. Ain't nothing wrong with this fool. But what I've learned is this, that whenever I would have these attacks, these Meniere attacks, this dizziness, this off balance, they're episodic. When I would go to the hospital, by the time I got to the hospital and they started examining me, there was nothing wrong because the Meniere attack stopped. It stopped. And I noticed that too, now that I think about it. Whenever I'd go to the doctor, I'm sitting there in the ER and I feel okay. But what made me go to the ER was this extreme dizziness, this uncontrollable dizziness, this feeling of that you're moving when you're not moving. I'll give you an example. One time my wife and I, we used to love to go play slot machines. We loved to do it. That was what we did. You know, we were night people. We would go play some little quarter dime slot machines just to give us something to do. And we always went like it may be 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, because for me, it's better to function at night than it is day because of movement and of noise and flashing light, the sun. You drive in your car and there's trees line the street, and you know how the sun will come through and you're driving and you go through shade to bright, to shade to bright. It's you know what I mean? That light, it's like a strobe. And it's stuff like that that sets off the ear, eye, and the brain are trying to work together to get you balanced. But you can't remain balanced because your gyro's moving, man. It's moving, and no matter what you do, you can't turn that gyro off until it decides to slow down. Well, anyway, we're in the restaurant one night, and I can tell you, we were both eating New York strip. My wife loved New York strip. Whenever we went out, anytime she had a steak, it was New York strip, baked potato. And man, this restaurant had the best, what do you call it? I forgot what you call it now. It was a dessert. Bread pudding. Nice southern dessert, bread pudding. Man, they had all these pecans, like this caramel sauce. It was absolutely delicious. But anyway, I'm sitting at the table. feeling pretty good, not worried about Meniere's, not thinking about Meniere's, don't care about Meniere's, but I'm sitting there grooving, man. I'm sitting there cutting my little steak and eating it and my little potato and salad and drinking my little sweet tea and all that stuff, grooving. And all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, I grabbed the table like that in a panic. I mean, I'm just sitting there eating. And then all of a sudden, I felt like I was being flung out of my chair. So I grabbed the table. The place is packed. Believe it or not, it's packed. And I looked at my wife like, I got to get out of here. Just like one of those fight or flight things. Well, I wanted to get out of there. And I left. I got out. And I'm dizzy. I'm spinning and I'm uncontrolled. I'm like, oh Lord, here we go. Let it run its course. For me, it takes about 20 to 30 minutes for this dizziness to wear off. And when it wears off, you're kind of okay. This Meniere's disease can hit you expectedly and unexpectedly. You never know when you're going to have a Meniere attack. Sometimes you'll have a drop attack. One time I was working on a construction. I was a contractor, and I had some subcontractors, and they had to come talk to me. They're out in my front yard. I walk out, and I wanted to talk to them, and all of a sudden, like I said, expected and unexpected, but this was unexpected. Boom! I dropped to my knees. And those guys looked at me. They thought I was having a heart attack. But it wasn't a heart attack. It was a Meniere's attack. It's called a drop attack. You just drop. It's like somebody pulls a rug from under you and you just drop because you were so dizzy, so spinning so bad. Your only safe place to be is on the ground where you won't fall, you know? Well, I was so embarrassed. And I got myself inside. And those two men thought I must be out of my mind or something, or crazy, or I was having a heart attack or something. But no. It was a Meniere's attack, a drop attack. Well, later on that day, those two fellows was back in the front yard, and I went out and talked to them, and I said, listen, guys, I'm very embarrassed. What you witnessed this morning, I have something called Meniere's disease. You know, the imbalance of the fluids of the inner ear. And whenever this happens to you, it creates extreme vertigo, and sometimes you are so dizzy, you have no other option but to just literally hit the ground. And that's what happened, and I was just so embarrassed that I wanted to go to those guys, because whenever you get into a Meniere's attack, the first thing you want to do is this. That's what you want to do. You want to scream, man. You're scared. You think you're dying. I have a friend, my best friend. He told me a story just to show you how this stuff is. You'd have to know my friend really for this to be kind of funny. I thought it was funny. It was funny because it's the way he explained it. It wasn't funny, but it was funny, but the way this guy talks. First of all, my best friend, he's one of those kind of gentlemen that'll rock your world. You know what I mean? He's the kind of guy that he don't put up with any bullshit at all. And you ain't gonna mess with you. Look at this guy, you know, he'll rip your head right off. The reason I'm saying this is because he's one of these alpha males. He's a manly man, you know, he don't play. He really don't. He'll hurt you. Now he's like me now, he's an old man. I doubt if he'd want to hurt you today, but he may rip your head off. I don't know. He told me, he says, Jim, let me tell you something, man. He says, I was sitting on my couch one night. Now, he also has Meniere's, or he had Meniere's. He thought he had Meniere's. But anyway, he's sitting on his couch one night. He's all alone. And he says, man, Jim, he says, I grabbed my couch and I was hanging on for dear life. And he says, you know, I'm strong as a bull, man. And I was hanging on to that couch so hard because I felt like I was spinning 100 miles an hour sitting on this couch. And I couldn't get the couch to stop. It's just spinning, spinning, spinning. And I'm like, oh, no, man. You know, he said, I thought I was dying, man. I thought I was dying. Well, finally it slacked off. It went away, and it scared me. And again, you'd have to know this guy, this tough, beast of a man, big shoulder, big scrapping guy. Anyway, he says, man, I went to the doctor. I made an appointment and I got in, I think the next morning I got in. He says, and I'm telling the doctor, he says, doctor, I'm sitting, I'm hanging on, I'm spinning, I'm about to fly off this couch, man. And he's telling the day, he says, you know, and my friend, he's thinking, man, what, I got some kind of tumor, I got cancer of the brain, something terrible's wrong. And my friend was explaining all this to the doctor, and the doctor looks at him and he goes, you need to get off salt. And my friend, he goes, excuse me? Did you say get off of salt? He says, doctor, did you hear me? I'm sitting on my couch, hanging on to the back cushions as tight as I can. I'm spinning and spinning and spinning. I'm about to fly off the couch. I feel like I'm dying. And you telling me I need to get off of salt? The doctor, yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Because he says, I had to pay this man for him to tell me to get off of the salt. You know, you want to kind of control these fluids. But anyway, it was a funny story. I guess you'd have to know him to appreciate this story, how big and how badass this guy really is. And I thought it was really kind of funny. Come to find out, he really did not have Meniere's disease, but he had the symptoms of Meniere's disease because he had some kind of, I don't really know what it is, some kind of mass in the ear, and he had to have surgery, and they removed some of the mass. They couldn't get it all. I think he had a couple surgeries, and they got most of it, but the dizziness kind of went away. So I'm glad for him that way. But I don't have a mass. I've been checked. I've had the CAT scans. I've had all the tests, everything you can have. I have Meniere's disease. So for those of you who ask me to make a little video, all I can say to you is Meniere's disease usually starts whenever you're about 20 years old. There may be some exceptions. And it can appear that you're kind of lightheaded, you're not really balanced that well. For some people, Meniere's disease is like it's just a nuisance. It could just be a nuisance. You know, you can work and you can do stuff. And for some people, it's debilitating. It'll shut you down. It'll shut you down. It's one of the reasons that I retired early. I was on the job. I owned an advertising company. Had a lot of people work for me. It was a good company. But I was out at one of my clients' businesses, and all of a sudden I had this drop attack, and I hit the floor. And at that point, I went and I had a meeting with all of my people, and I said, I can't do this anymore. I can't appear that I'm normal when I'm not. I'm tired of sitting here fighting, and I'm fighting. And I'm fighting for my balance. I'm fighting to be just normal. I have to appear normal. I mean, I'm sitting out here. I had one of these kind of coat and tie kind of jobs, a professional type job. And I can't be sitting there, you know, trying to talk to a client, and I'm rocking and rolling and I'm hanging onto my desk for dear life because my head's spinning. So I knew that I had to get out, and I did. I sold my company. That was the end of it. And I've been sitting on my butt ever since. That's why I say I'm a homebody. I am. Because I don't want to put myself in a situation where I go to a restaurant and I'm sitting there eating with a lovely young lady or an old lady in my case, and I'm grabbing the table because I feel like I'm flying out of the chair. So to avoid that, I try to keep myself out of those situations, and I don't really go out that much in public places. I do what I can, but again, expected and unexpected. This stuff will hit you. You don't know. Man, you could be at a ball game. You could be at a dance. You could be in a restaurant. You can be sitting on the toilet. It doesn't matter. Whenever this Meniere's, when these fluids in the vestibular system of your ears, the fluids are not flowing right, you're going to be messed up till it passes. So if you have any of these kind of symptoms, don't really be afraid of it. I've educated a lot of ENTs. Yeah, they have a lot of book knowledge, but they don't know what it's like to have Meniere's disease. I do. I've had it for 52 years. 52 years. And even though I've kind of learned how to live with it, I can get on here on this camera and present myself, it's like, oh, yeah, he's the regular normal guy. But like what you don't know right now, but right now, as I'm making this video, you look at me and say, hey, ain't nothing wrong with you. But if you could jump inside of this head and see all this wobbly, this movement that I'm experiencing right now, it would scare you to death. If I could transfer what I have right now and put it on you, you would be ready to run to the ER, I promise you. But I have 52 years experience, and I know, and I'm a diabetic, and sometimes whenever my sugars drop, you feel real weak. You feel almost fainty, like you feel like you're going to pass out. So I'd say the hardest thing for me is I try to distinguish, do I have, when I'm feeling really weak or bad or I'm going to pass out, do I have Meniere's disease? Is it the Meniere's disease making me feel this way? Or is it my blood sugars that's messing with me? And that's about the hardest part of what I have to deal with. So I don't want to bore you anymore with this, guys. Thank you for listening. I know this has been kind of long, but I did get a couple of folks ask me about Meniere's disease. I really didn't do a good job of explaining this. I was just kind of sharing a little bit more with you. And Colleen, I'm sorry that I'm wearing the black shirt. I know you kind of don't like the black shirt. But hey, I bought some shirts the other day, and they came like 3 shirts in a pack, or whatever you call it. And this just happened to be one of them. So might as well wear it. Okay, guys, y'all go to A Narrated Life Observed and go to ShinyKnife. If I can remember, I'll try to put a link in my description. I'll probably forget, so if I do, just forgive me. Just go check them out. Thank y'all for spending a little time with me. I appreciate it. And don't be afraid to go to a doctor if you're feeling kind of weird or you're feeling kind of bad. You know what I mean? It could be something as simple as bilateral Meniere's disease. One little quick story, because I know this is long. I had an uncle, and my uncle had Meniere's disease. He had it in one ear. So he was talking to the doctor. This was a long, long time ago. And the doctor says, now listen, what I can do, I can cut the nerve from the ear to the brain. I can cut it. You're not going to be able to hear out of this ear, but you're not going to be dizzy anymore. And this dizziness can be so vicious, so bad, you'll do anything to get rid of it. He had the surgery. They cut the nerve, blah, blah, blah. For a while, he just felt so good. He wasn't dizzy. He wasn't doing anything other than enjoying what he thought was a normal life. Now, it did leave him deaf in this ear, but he didn't have the dizziness. Well, as years roll by, guess what? The dizziness started showing back up. The spinning, the imbalanced part of him came back. So it doesn't always work out. The doctors don't always get it right. And so he did that. He literally became deaf in one ear to try to solve this vicious, vicious, horrible Meniere's disease. And just because you have Meniere's disease and your best friend or your sister or your mother, your cousin or whatever has Meniere's, it's different for each one of us. There's like different levels, different levels. Like I said, for some people, it's a nuisance. For other people, it's debilitating. Thank you for listening, guys. I'm Jimmy Rance.